Hi and welcome to Slick Willy Fly, and what we're going to do today is a Slick Willy Swooper. Alright, so this is a fly that's a little bit unique. It's, I guess its origins are, it's a cockroach fly, but it's a little bit different in the materials I use. And that's why we give it a little bit of a different name. It is definitely not a traditional cockroach fly. So I'm going to go ahead and put some 100 denier. You can use any color you want. Right now I'm just using black because I have a lot of black. I'm just putting some thread towards the back. When I get to the back here, I'm going to go ahead and use thread. It's kind of wasteful, but I'm going to go ahead and make like a little ball here in the back. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple of these feathers. I have this hen cape right here, and I've already pre-plucked some matching feathers. So I have 2 for the left and 2 for the right. And I'm just going to even up the tips. And I'm going to pluck all these fuzz away. So we don't need any of the fuzz. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and even up the tips on the opposite side. Just so that I could basically make them about the same length. Just like that. And you can trim some of this hard stem off. It won't hurt anything. You know, anytime I'm trimming something really hard, I grab an older pair of scissors so that I don't destroy my scissors. Now what that little ball is going to do right there is that little hump's going to help me splayel out these tail feathers. Just like that. So I get them right where I want them. Just like that. And that actually came out very perfect. I don't like when my tips come out super aligned. I think you can see that the tips aren't perfectly aligned. And I can trim off these tags. Clean that up. And now we do the same thing on the opposite side. Those 2 feathers that I already prepped, I just bring them. I'm going to place them. A couple of soft wraps just to make sure that I like the placement and that they are about the same length, which they are. Now I'm going to go ahead and lock them in. Now that one moved a little. All right. Nice. Very nice. Happy with the way that turned out. They look a little wild. I like when they look a little wild. I hate when things look perfectly symmetrical. I like staggers and that kind of stuff. Perfect. Having a nice cocktail. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of Krystal Flash. You could put legs. You could put almost anything. I got a half a strand that just randomly came out. I think a half a strand is going to be perfect. I'm going to go ahead and just get it a little bit on top, but on top on the side. Something like that. I'm going to bring this to the opposite side and capture that in. And that's fine. I don't really, not too concerned about where this crystal flash ends up. I'm also not overly concerned about the length, but we'll go ahead and trim them. I'm going to trim them just a hair longer than the tail. Just like that. Just a little flash is all it is. Now, what I'm going to use, I have these larger feathers, and what I'm interested in isn't so much that they're long. What I'm interested in is that the fibers are a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and peel away again all these little fuzzies. Or most of them anyway. Then I'm going to take these two tips, I'm going to align the tips as best as I can. Just like that. I'm going to grab the tip as best I can, just the tip. And I'm going to peel away all these fibers. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a tie-in point. Because I am going to use this feather and I'm going to use it like a hackle right in front of the tail. So I'm going to tie that in, get my thread out of the way. I'm going to try and grab both at the same time. And I'm going to go ahead and use the rotary function on this vise to just help me wrap up right up against the tail feathers. Just like this. Remember, when you're drawing everything back, don't forget you have a hook there. And once you have these feathers, then you're going to go ahead and bring your thread back. Now you're going to capture them. And you're going to trim them off. Then I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to brush out all this trapped fibers. Then I take them and I push them forward. And I wrap over them just a bit, just to get them all going back towards the tail. Just like that. Nice, I like that. All right. So now I'm going to get a little clump of deer hair, and this is winter deer hair, and I think it's important that you use winter deer hair for this, and I'm not going to take very much at all, but what I am going to do, I don't want to stack this deer hair. So when I take it off, I want to be very careful that I align the tips somewhat anyway, and I clip it off, and like all my deer hair, I am going to remove all the shorts. So you just pinch, and everything that you pull off that's beyond the pinch point is shorts. Making sure there's nothing crazy long, which there isn't. Now I gotta check my length and trim. The length is basically a hair longer than the what the material you just used as a hackle. So a couple of loose wraps, and now I'm going to distribute around the fly. And I'm going to go ahead and tie that nice and hard. And I'm going to take a little bit finer scissor, and I'm going to trim off these little tags. Carefully. You don't have to get very crazy because we're going to put a little bit more material on here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my dumbbell eyes on, because I want the material to work all the way up to the dumbbell eyes. So for dumbbell eyes, I'm using brass, size medium, and I dropped it. An easy way that usually works is I usually put a wrap on the eye, bring the eye to the hook, and that helps me get it basically on the hook where I want. And now I could start doing my X wraps. About, I don't know, 10 wraps in each direction. And then some figure eights, just to get everything nice and locked in. Nice. So now I'm gonna get, maybe I put one more little clump. Actually, I'm gonna do one more hackle. This time I'm gonna use a single. Then a little bit more deer, and then we're going to finish it with one last little hackle. I normally take all the short fuzzies off, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to go that many turns. It's just to get this going, get a little color. That's enough right there. So I'm going to bring my thread back. I'm going to come under, and I'm going to trap it. Now I can trim this off. Pull everything back and go over that hackle. Just like that. That looks great. It's funny how this fly starts to come together. Wasn't looking good, but now it is. All right. So now I'm going to put one more little clump of deer hair. 2 loose wraps, distributing around. Doesn't hurt to just take a good look at everything before you hold it nice and tight. Couple more loose wraps, and now I'm going to crank down on this. That looks great. So I want to take one last hand feather. And I'm going to peel off all the fuzzies, it's just easier. Gotta make a tie-in point again. I'm going to trim my tie-in point shorter, because we have the dumbbell eyes. I don't really want to go beyond that. There's a couple of fibers that are pointed the wrong way, and we will definitely trim those. Nothing to worry about. Okay, so now I've captured this. So now I'm just going to continue to wrap, and notice every time I wrap Hackle or the deer hair, every time I go in the same direction as the thread. Okay, so now I'm going to go under. I do want to push these back. I need to capture this. It's hard to let go. I go under the eyes and capturing this feather. And once I've captured it, I can trim it away. Pull everything back. Sometimes if you moisten your fingers, it helps. I almost feel like I should put one more little clump of, maybe one more feather. Feels like I have a little bit of space between the body and the dumbbell eyes. When I tease this all out, it'll be probably filling. It's also a little bit wet right now, I have used a bit of saliva. We're gonna go with it. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna whip finish right where it's at, behind the eyes. I'm gonna cut away the black thread. And now I'm gonna get this awesome neon yellow, which I have ready. And I'm actually going to clean up a little tiny bit. I have some crazy fibers. There's no point in trapping them. looks good. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a coat of neon yellow, which I think is going to look awesome when I use the UV resin. So that's pretty much the only thing I'm doing. Basically giving this fly a little hot spot. Little whip finish. All right. So now I like to look at my flies with a UV lamp, because a lot of times I will see something that I didn't see with the naked eye. Oh, that's starting to look really good. It's drying. All right, so I'm gonna get a thin UV resin, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a coat. Stop falling everywhere. I'm gonna put a tiny little coat right between the eyeballs. And the reason I like using thin is because the thin will penetrate the thread. A little coat under the eyeballs. And basically I'm just going around the yellow knot. And now not only will this fly be a lot more bulletproof, but I just think that little hot spot looks good. Super simple fly. It's you can make this in any size you want. I'm about to show you. This one here that I made is the same size hook and same size dumbbell eyes, but it's slightly shorter than the one I showed you earlier. 2 seconds. Let me just cure this up. That's probably good. All right. So this fly, it's on a size 2 saltwater hook. A little bit of Krystal flash. I mean, I think that came out awesome. This one is also on a size 2 hook. Maybe it is the same size. I tend to make them a little bit unique only because of the feathers. Actually, they're more similar in size than I thought they were going to be. I must have grabbed feathers from about the same spot on that cape. That's hard to show you. Maybe that way. Anyway, the one on my right hand, I also put a little bit of rubber legs. I think you could see the rubber legs there. So, you know, again, all the flies, it's up to your imagination. The Slick Willy Swooper. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And good luck catching.